Miss Laura is going to tell us all about the plants that we have in our area and how people used them a long time ago and how she and other people use them today. So write anything that you see on your journal that you think is cool, and you can ask Miss Laura questions just by raising your hand, and we'll let her know you have a question, okay? All right, listening ears on.
1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
Good job.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying for your dress. I love that. Let's figure out what kind of trees we have here. And that would give us an indicator, kind of like what kind of woods you got going on. You have a lot of healthy ferns. That's always really nice to see. And yeah, you got some agrimony right here. Agrimonia. So that's in the rose family.
Hey, I have a camera.
So it's related to strawberries. Raise your hand if you like strawberries. Yeah. Alright, oh yeah, I love it. Good, so you should be looking for those soon too, right maybe this month. And they'd probably be right around the corner, if not right next to one another. And yeah, oh wow, yeah, you got some good.
Are there wild berries that look like strawberries that you shouldn't eat, or?
Right. So like actual strawberries would be right here, like your wild strawberries. Yeah. The other one with the 5-leaf is Potentilla genus, so that would be the yellow flowers. Those are your false strawberries. Indian strawberry, which is not really, not the right term. And then the wild strawberry will just have 3 distinct leaves. So leaves of 3, it could be a strawberry. Oh, I know. Throw us out right there.
That's not the rhyme I grew up hearing.
Yeah, I know. We want to get close and we want to look. Always look first. Look for a long time. It's okay to look, because then what's going to happen if you just look. You just look at it for a long time, and count, and then you're like, oh, well, it's not the one that I thought it was. Okay. So just because something has a certain number that we think, it has to have lots of things going on. So always look for many, many, many things when you're trying to identify a plant. Never one thing, many things. Relationships with other things, little places where the light hits, what's possible. So right here you got like 11 different plant species, all in this one little area. You've got a nice healthy little, might be a violet, but it might be a wild ginger, looking at the heart-shaped leaf, because they both those plants would have that characteristic. And then you have Agrimonia, and Agrimonia, actually, it's always good not to get too confident. It's always good to, go in and double check, triple check. And of course, this is my first time, so. Agrimonia, Roses CE, so the same family as strawberries. And the Agrimonia has more of a therapeutic background that's not as commonly known. But if it's a rose, it's most likely got an astringent action. So it's a drying, puckering sensation in the mouth. So if you drink black tea too long or steep it too long, it's going to get that kind of or if you stuck on a lemon, kind of like, ooh, who's on that? So yeah, a little patch of herbaceous ground out in the ground, growing underneath the giant trees, right? Because the trees are they're the canopy. And so figuring out what those are would help us understand what kind of soil you have and then what else could be possible here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaves around. So it's probably Gallium aperine or the everyday cleavers. Just kind of found its way in here. And we are close enough to the edge of the woods. But if you stick it, it sticks to your clothes. It won't come off. Yeah. So this is that kind of a whorled leaf arrangement. And yeah, we might be finding some of that, some of its cousins, some of its relations that are a little bit more of the wild licorice variety, and that would be a really cool thing.
Does it taste like licorice?
So yeah, the root would, the root would, and there's also something called lady's bedstraw, or mayflower, may wine with it. Sweet woodruff, that's it. So sweet woodruff, cleavers, Gallium aperine, Gallium genus, Galium. And there is a local plant that was something that they used the roots and the roots of as like a pounded tea and poultice. So you have quite a few of them coming up, which makes me wonder if that is the one. We just count the leaves to confirm. Which is really cool. And violets. You probably have several amazing varieties here. We got little ferns, all these ferns! The ferns have a lot of magic too. The herbalist Nathaniel Whitmore up in Catskill, New York, he's a fern lover. He knows a lot of ferns and knows a lot of the indigenous uses up there, the Iroquois. So I would definitely refer to him. I probably will. Definitely want to study with him. He's really cool. He like brings these giant roots into like Manhattan and sells them. Like,
Cool.
yeah, like he just kind of brings the mountains into the town, which is very interesting.
What's his name again?
Nathaniel Whitmore. Yeah.
So the ferns and stuff have like medicinal or just
Oh yeah.
cultural
There's a
properties?
lot of knowledge about ferns. Yeah. And there's a lot of ferns here, so you have some. Ooh, it smells good. Should we keep walking?
Sure.
For a little more? Okay. Coming up it. That might actually be honeysuckle coming up it. So we have to determine if it's the Japanese or not. It might not be. You might have the non.
I got this.
You might have some privet back there too.
What is that?
That's an invasive. But you also have like lots of trees and a lot of that kind of that herbaceous stuff coming up that's very interesting. I think that's some kind of like Jack in the Pulpit, something like that. So overall, it looks really healthy. You have a lot of things happening, a lot of ferns, which is always a good sign because they take a really long time to establish themselves like this.
So are there a lot of invasive species around here now?
As much as, you mean in like general?
Yeah, like
Oh yeah, yeah. This is this little Dutchman's breeches, or no, the bleeding heart right here.
Invasive.
okay.
Pretty. What is this, little maple?
Roots have that big licorice flavor.
Lots of tulip poplars. Oh, beautiful. Oak trees. So, let me check the time and make sure we're on track, but I definitely want to have is there another little clearing coming up that we can stop at on our bench? I'm pretty certain what you have here is a woodland violet, some type of violet. Viola. Viola, a genus. There's 300 varieties of violet. Oh wow. Yeah, so get yourselves a key. You can key out the ones. This is a holly tree. And holly is Ilex genus, and there's a lot of therapeutic value and not a lot of modern. It's very special, actually. It's an old, ancient tree. Thank you. There used to be forests of holly. So any holly that has the red berries is the female plant, and any of the trees that don't are the male plants, because they have flowers, just have different of each one. So dioecious, that's called, where you have one plant that has the girl flowers and the guy flowers. So there might be two here. So when you notice that, like one has red berries, one doesn't. In the winter. This is a deciduous form, deciduous. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. And so they're actually like losing leaves right now, and then they'll put on new growth. So this is something called smilax or greenbrier. It will have these little snags eventually, or thorns, and it's a native plant, and that has some history. You might have some grape going on here. All of these right here, if you start seeing them kind of tendriling up, creating little tendrils, they might be going with wild grape. And I've seen quite a lot of it so far. So Papaya taita, nice, and this would have some therapeutic background for sure.
What part would you use for that?
So we would use the needles, maybe the root bark. It's a massive, beautiful tree. Oh my goodness! Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. That's amazing, though. Woo! Really healthy pine trees here. I mean, pine in its essence is just, what's that? Is that the shell or something? What is that? I'm curious.
turtle
now.
shell.
Turtle shell. Oh! Oh my god! That's just so amazing.
What's turtle shell?
Little Eastern box.
You can get it. Might
Is there a spirit in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
just when she knocks it over, I was like,
the turtle is
It's an Eastern
dead.
box.
He's left his paint trail. He's
Wow.
I like to grab turtle shell.
That's great. Yeah, you totally. If that's what you. Yeah, I love that.
My mom just puts it in.
Turtles were definitely speaking to me last year. Very much so.
So is it true that moss only grows on the north side of the creek?
I don't know. That's a good idea. Yes. So red oak.
West side of the creek.
Okay. Holly.
I feel like you can feel its old trees energy. Like they feel very wise and calm.
Yeah, all the trees. I mean, they're.
This is a red
So
oak.
one of the details I pulled out in that last talk was that the majority of the plants are the plants that grow on the ground, like the lower plants, but the plants that were utilized the most were the trees. I thought that was a really interesting facet of that study from College of William and Mary. So, you know, we can only kind of figure that out, like what exactly, why, you know, was it because they were available, the taste, just the accessibility of it. Tulip poplar, you have a lot of tulip poplar. That's what this is right here. And this has got root bark uses, and different tribes around around this land. I mean, they do different ways with it. So down in Appalachia, the root bark was a bitter, aromatic bitter, and then the root bark was also utilized as a tincture in the Midwest area for people with heart issues after heart attacks. And then the flower essence is indicated for people who feel guilt for something, an unresolvable guilt. The flowers will be coming out now. This is a young tree. This is probably 10 years old. So how many of you are 10? The one back there? Aren't you 10? Maybe a little older. Maybe 20. This one probably. Oh, you're doing such a good job. All those little shadows here. And I mean, I've cut the bark of this tree before. I had like a patch on the one that I did. And it's a very, very bright and aromatic smell. It has an astringency as well to it, a leathery quality. And the bark is apparently very malleable, and this is what they would have dug out to make canoes with. Yellow poplar, Liriodendron tulipifera, and it's one of the genera I put on your worksheet just so you have for what looking up later. There's only 2 varieties of this tree worldwide, and there's one in China and one here. Wow, I thought that was very cool.
It is cool.
It's like meant to be here, and there's one that's almost exactly the same around the world. How did that happen? I don't know. This is how it's so amazing. Botany is amazing, and it makes us make sense of everything, really, kind of what's possible and what terrains are similar. Or at least established. How are we doing back there? Yeah, so here's a violet. It still has a violet flower. And so Kudra season is just about kind of winding down for the flowers. So that confirms that you have at least a violet species here. And it's got 1, 2, it almost has like little wings on it. That's very pretty. Smaller flower. than the ones in the city.
So do they tend to take, I guess, advantage of the sun before the leaves come in, or
Yeah.
like on the trees?
Yep. Yeah, and before that, there would have been another round of flowers that were just here, like when the first ones popped up. And then you got like your little bleeding hearts here. Let's see what else is going on here. It's like the beginning of like the tulip poplar flowers, kind of falling down. Yeah, and then you got maple. Oak, maples. This would be a good candidate land for ginseng, American ginseng. Which one is that, Laura? The American ginseng. That's an herbaceous flare plant, and it would do well here if we wanted to plant it. It needs about 75 to 80% shade. So a nice cool under an oak tree. What I'm not seeing, that's always a good question, right? What are we not seeing? We're not seeing beech trees. So we're seeing a majority of like coastal pines and oaks and tulip poplars. But we are seeing a lot of ferns. Back to the ferns is great. I mean, these are really healthy groves of ferns. And underneath the pine tree, you'd be looking for orchids too. So, little pink lady slippers. And
Are those still around?
I hope so.
I hadn't seen those since I was a kid.
You should
Are they
replant them.
endangered?
Yeah, they are. Yep. The golden seal would do well here too. All the woodland plants. You have a lot of sun though too, so it might be tricky to find the shade. Have you guys ever done like a sit before?
I mean, I'm always down for a good sit.
Yeah.
As far as the bridge.
So I'm pretty sure that's beach.
Yeah. Like some of the beach trees we've had in our yard.
Yeah. And then you have the partridge berry. A partridge berry? Yeah. Got the partridge berry. This is partridge berry. Michella repens. And look for white tubular flowers in the summer, red berries in the fall and winter.
Is it still early for a lot of these for flowering? Is it usually later on in the year?
Just a few weeks from now, really.
Okay.
There's always something happening on rotation out here. There might be flowers when we think there's not. And this is a beautiful tree. Really nice spot. That's a good spot for that. And that's where I usually find is under beech, or really under really strong oakwood areas that have a lot of shade. You have a lot of sun here, right here. So if you were to go somewhere maybe a little bit more on the bank, you might find another pocket or so of it. So this is a creek. And you might have like pockets of jack in the pulpit or like ginseng kind of under and over some of these coves. And yeah, that's a beautiful creek. I'm sure that's a lot of fun to go looking for stuff. Yeah, cool. So this is the first half. So if you want to, on the formality of the walk, I had like a little bit of like a journaling time. That's for you based on what I recall. I recall really well when I write stuff down as I go along or reflect. It's just a fun way to kind of engage. There's something called tree spot. And that's when you and you find a tree along the trail and you have a seat for a minute with that tree and write. So I love it. I think it's a really great way to connect to your habitat, your area. So do you want to do that for a minute?
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
You might have to repeat it for the back group.
Sit down and write in your journal about some of the things that
come into your mind? Do you share it digitally or Filipino? Yeah. My father was a member of ASRO.
Then there's the stream, and then there's the pizza wood.
All right, let me just.
Dogwood has a chemical in it that's almost the same as quinine. Oh.
I have a question. How do like the lips in the trees? Ava. How do like the lips in the trees? Like how does that?
Oh, that's awesome.
Whoa, you can climb that.
It is really cool.
If you turn around,
Well, it keeps swelling over time. I don't know though. Maybe that might be a feature of that tree.
That's what I said.
don't give me this. You could easily climb that tree because of that. Honestly, yeah. Can we go back? The last time we came here, I tried to climb it.
No, this is chickweed, and chickweed always indicates fertile ground in gardens, and you got some nice juicy plump ones. Stellaria medea. This is not a woodland plant, although it might be a different variety.
That's half of my yard.
Got a lot of it,
A lot
right?
of clover.
I mean, it's
too.
edible. And you got a little abundant spring foray here. I mean, they're dependent on sun, so what we're looking at is a place that you can plant a lot of. We'll call it agrimony forest. You have a lot of it. Agrimony is a really important herb. It's old world herb. I mean, they don't talk about it much anymore.
What's this?
I think that she just said that was agrimony. Yeah, agrimony. And then you got water oak. I guess it's just short-lived. American maple? American elm. Which American elm?
Is that the way to go?
Oh my.
Mama, come here.
Well,
Come here.
this makes sense because of the Dutch elm disease.
So,
It'll only get to a particular height. Same thing happens with slippery elm.
oh, we just
It's so beautiful though. The roots will continue to nourish the area though. So,
Is that disease? Is it like a
yeah.
pest or is it like
A pest.
Wait, the kid! The kid!
He wants you to know that once you fall.
guys, this one that come out.
But people still like grow them to a certain size, like the slippery elm, and will harvest it that way. And yeah, but it's such a beautiful tree.
I want to see the
That's a nice sight too. Wow. Ooh, it's like a meadow. It is a meadow. It's not like a meadow, it is a meadow. But you have, this might be like a comfrey of some kind. Not one that we would like utilize perhaps, but it's still a very beautiful flower. It might have little blue bell-like flowers. Lots of flowers in there.
Feet in that tail.
I love seeing the difference.
What did you say those ones were? With the flowers on them, the purple ones?
Well, that's vetch.
Okay.
So soft.
So that it could be, it reminds me of Rudbeckia. But it also might still be the one. Yeah, well, the leaves are too tall. There's kind of a really strong central stem. So I think it is a Rudbeckia, some kind or another, or a black-eyed Susan, something around that line. It'll be very pretty. The restoration at all, if you want to do
Is that
that.
invasive?
Oh yeah, totally.
It does invasive. See, I thought invasive means it comes from another place somebody's brought it. Is it just something that spreads everywhere and it's
No, you're right. It comes from a different place, and it's not going to be appropriate if you're trying to stabilize
Right.
native plant populations. Fortunately, kids probably would really love to pull it up.
Yeah?
Like, yeah, it'll be a good day or two project, but you can get it done.
I think those fresh.
Oh, you want some
Just
fresh?
here. There's something in here.
Well, it makes sense that you would have a lot more of those invasives by the house.
Yeah.
So you could definitely, this would be a really great project.
Fishy boys.
I love it up here. It's so pretty.
It is beautiful. That's some too. Whatever this was last year, that is this year.
Question mark? Is it dead?
It's something in the Asteraceae family.
And then you have an I got
You doing
some
okay?
for me too.
You know, no, I'm fine.
I have a feeling that's not a tree. I think that's a perennial or an annual coming up from either a seed bank, probably a perennial.
You see daffodils
So look for
kind of
leaf, variegated, red, variegated, alternate leaf arrangement.
All right, guys, time to head back. Do y'all want to lead the way?
Thank you. Do you think you can find your way back?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're leading the way.
Come on,
We're
Joseph.
leading the way.
Come on in.
I'm leading the way. Me.
Can I see? Oh, I see. What are you drawing?
I'm drawing a big apple.
A big apple. Do you think that there are apples in this forest? Ah, that would be pretty cool.
You guys did great.
Izzy, you want to share your pictures? Eden, you too. Let's
I
get your
love that
pictures of
ivy.
your journal.
That's beautiful.
And she was
This
like
is my
ahead,
first
like
one.
doing her little notes in front of her.
She drew a branch that was shaped like a V, and she showed it to me.
Good. Yeah, keep doing
Little flower children.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Laura. On your way out, do you need any water or anything before you go? Thank you so much. This is wonderful. See what else we got.
I have like 15 pages.
That's fine.
A lot of work, we're also walking and running so much.
There's the bendy tree.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do this rather than Tuesday? Oh, is that better for you? Yeah. Okay, I will.
All right, well, thank you so much, and have a
Thank you.
good rest of your weekend.
Is there more?
It's
got
a
some.
slug.
You guys did great.
Izzy, you want to show your pictures? Eden, you too. Let's get your pictures of your journal.
And then I also collected all these with the turtle shell.
She was like ahead, like doing
Wait, I thought there was sand in there. Wait, is there?
Earth Day.
That's right.
Woo!
Happy Earth Day.
Thank you.
All right.
Y'all say bye,
A
Miss
heart
Laura.
can turn into ice cream. Did you know that?
What can turn into ice cream?
A heart.
Oh, that's a good thing to know. I love that. Oh yeah, I see. You can add another scoop on top of it.
Daddy, we found a turtle shell. Izzy has it. Oh yeah? Yeah. Show him.
Come over here, watch.
Oh, thank you.
Did you get any pictures?
Put it in the art
Do
museum.
you want me to flip it over so it goes lower?
It's about like this low.
Sure about that?
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Bark.
very, very low.
Can you hold it up so Papa can take a picture?
What was your favorite part that you got to see today? Did you learn anything? I know that you spent a lot of time sitting under that tree. Yeah, was that the ground? What do you think it's going to turn into?
A butterfly.
That's yours to keep.